This morning, shocking body camera footage showing a high school band director being arrested and tased, now at the center of a police investigation.
I didn't deserve to be tased. I'm a good citizen.
The 13-year band veteran sharing his story with ABC News.
Was there ever a point that you feared for your safety, feared for your life?
The feeling of being tased for the first time, I've seen it before, but for you to actually feel it for yourself and the amount of power going in, I could feel my fingers like numbing up. They tased me again and then tased me for the third time. So imagine if I had a heart defect issue, or imagine if I panic on top of that. It could have been fatal.
Mims is charged with disorderly conduct, resisting arrest, and harassment. His attorney says his civil rights were violated.
Hey folks, Dale Jackson here for Yellowhammer Now, and we are back discussing, yes, once again, the situation with Johnny Mims, the band director at Minor High School, who got tased for acting like a fool in front of all of his kids. And now, of course, we're supposed to be upset about this, we're supposed to have some problems with this, and we're supposed to ask ourselves, is this a racial situation? Well, as the video showed you, and I posted it yesterday, no, it's not. It's the situation where a band director acted like an absolute fool in front of his students and got tased for it. So because the headline can read, Black, Alabama, high school band director tased by police in Birmingham, you know the national media wants to cover it. And cover it they will. Here we go. Good Morning America all over this, telling a story that is hardly the whole story.
This morning, shocking body camera footage showing a high school band director being arrested and tased, now at the center of a police investigation. Birmingham police say this all happened after Johnny Mims refused their orders to cut Minor High School's band performance and leave the stadium after a football game last week. The band kept playing after the final whistle during what is referred to as the fifth quarter, a tradition shared by many high school and HBCU marching bands across the South.
This angle is continuing to come up, and I understand that there's the racial side to it, but look at all the people in the story. This is not a racial thing. They continue to make it about HBCU, the fifth quarter thing, it's a tradition, all this other stuff. Fine. That's a discussion you have after the fact. You don't have that conversation, well, the cops are telling you to knock it off and get out of there because they got to clear it. But that's what they decided to do. And it made this situation way worse for everybody involved. Everyone involved.
Mims directed the band to continue playing. Shortly after, the lights in the stadium are turned off. But it's what happens next that has Mims outraged.
Mims is outraged? He caused all of this. What is he outraged about? The consequences of his actions? Apparently so.
Band members screaming in disbelief as an officer pulls out a stun gun during his arrest.
If you go watch the whole video, you see them talking to him, them trying to arrest him, people intervening, people grabbing him, people grabbing the police officers, kids getting involved. He is the sole person responsible for this. He could have stopped this at any time. All the kids screaming and yelling are doing so because of his actions.
And to hear those kids cry is the most heart-wrenching thing that anybody can ever experience.
It's your fault. You did it. And sitting there with Wandling Gavan, a state representative who's going to be representing you through all of this, as they probably fire you, she's probably pretty happy they didn't show the entire footage here. And they cut an awful lot out, including the important parts like context that showed that you were being argumentative and fighting with police. They didn't just whip out a taser and tase you. In that scenario, it looks like they just whipped out and tased him. That's not what happened. And then you hear him say, oh, the kids had to see it. The kids didn't have to see it. When the cops came and said, stop, you should have stopped. That's what the kids should have seen.
Mims tased at least 3 times.
I didn't deserve to be tased. I'm a good citizen.
The 13-year band veteran sharing his story with ABC News.
Was there ever a point that you feared for your safety, feared for your life?
Clearly not. He's the one fighting. What is this idea that this guy's life is in danger here? If he truly thought his life was in danger, what a stupid way to respond. I think my life's in danger. Why don't I fight these cops? I mean, pretending that that's a logical thing is so idiotic that I can't even understand why a newsman would ask that.
The feeling of being tased for the first time, I've seen it before, but for you to actually feel it for yourself and the amount of power going in, I could feel my fingers like numbing up. They tased me again and then tased me for the 3rd time. So imagine if I had a heart defect issue, or imagine if I panic on top of that. It could have been fatal.
Imagine had you complied and not caused any of this. That's the real story here. I know it's not sexy for Good Morning America because we're about to show his mugshot and talk about how this poor guy's gone through all this. He did this. He put the kids in this situation. He put himself in this situation. He put the school system in this situation. It's unbelievable he's being played as the victim here.
Mims is charged with disorderly conduct,
Which he was.
resisting arrest,
Which he did.
and harassment.
Yeah. He was yelling at the cops.
His attorney says his civil rights were violated.
It was unwarranted. I don't care how it started. It never should have ended up like this. This should have been a matter in which it de-escalated.
Birmingham police telling ABC News the incident is now under investigation by its Internal Affairs Division.
You know, it's funny. Why did the cops are supposed to de-escalate? Why not just not do this in the first place? What is this? It's got to be de-escalated. It should never have escalated in the first place. You should have complied. How simple is this to understand? And if anything, now you put these students in a situation where not only they had to see this, but now you're telling them that the cops were the bad guys here. So what happens when one of them has an interaction with a member of law enforcement? Are they going to bow up too? Because their band director did. This is the real problem. This is why we see so much of this stuff. And Good Morning America, of course, inflaming it all, excuse me.
My biggest prayer is that, first of all, that these students will not hold a grudge, that they will be able to overcome this.
A grudge against who? Police? See, again, they're implying the police did something wrong here. The police have something that they should be worried about upsetting the students over. No, the band director, whose sole responsibility is these kids, put them in a situation where they saw this. He did it. Not the police. He did it. They saw the consequences of his actions, and now people are pretending that he's the victim.
They would one day be able to move forward and continue to be the great people that they are.
And aside from demanding justice, the band director says he wants the charges dropped and a full apology, not just to himself, but an apology to his students as well from the Birmingham Police Department for what happened. But
no way in hell. If they do that, they are pathetic. They are absolutely pathetic. They were completely justified in what they did here. And he wants an apology. It's a bold choice. And it goes to show you that part of the problem here when situations like this develop, instead of him being represented by someone who's smart and who is telling him, hey, look, you need to go and you make a public apology. You say it never should have got this far. You're sorry that you engaged in this way, and you throw yourself at the mercy of public opinion and the authorities. Instead, I want an apology. An apology for what? You acted out. You were the wrong one. You're not getting an apology. You're going to be lucky if you keep your job.
you know, I was in high school, and in the marching band, we played after the games. In college, they play after the games until the last man is standing. So it's not unheard of.
No, not at all. I know at TSU did the same thing.
Yeah.
Thank you, DeMarco.
The problem wasn't that they were playing music too long. The problem was they were closing the stadium. Okay, those members of law enforcement are supposed to close the stadium and get everyone out of there so they can shut it down. He refused to leave. That's what this is. They told him to repeatedly. See, again, they're arguing that he was justified because he was playing music and they do that at HBCUs. Come on, guys. Is there anyone that said, oh, yes, oh, yeah. They're all just shocked that such a thing could take place. Again, this is why the public is misinformed. This is why people think that the cops are bad guys. Because when the cops clearly are not bad guys, like in this situation, we've got people on television asking for public apologies, and the authority figures, the media, who are supposed to be telling the story, pretending that has some merit. It has no merit. The Birmingham police need to stick to this. They need to charge this guy, and they need to make sure that it's understood that this guy got charged at work. This guy got tased at work because of his own actions. And he should not have a job where he's in front of children at all. And I'll remind you, this is the second time he's had this type of interaction. He was fired from a previous job for allegedly verbally abusing members of the band and expressing anger and breaking a podium in front of them as well. So this guy has some issues. Should he even be in the school system? Well, I would say his current behavior and his response, demanding an apology from law enforcement instead of offering one of himself, shows that the answer is no, and they should fire this guy as soon as they possibly can. What will happen? Well, the national media is involved. The local media is involved. He's being painted as a victim. Hell, they might give him an award or a raise. Who knows? Maybe make him the superintendent of the school system.